Namaste. Welcome to the ShintoSE yoga experience with Shinto self-empowerment. I'm Zanoni Snowflake, and we're going to read the introduction or whatever it is that's in here, Allies in Healing, a support book for partners when the person you love was sexually abused as a child. Laura Davis, author of the Courage to Heal workbook and co-author of the Courage to Heal. This is an essential, long overdue book. Allies in Healing gives partners a clear path for dealing with the survivor's pain as well as their own. Harville Hendricks, PhD, author of Getting the Love You Want. This is a wonderful book, full of essential information for partners, as well as extended families and therapists. Partners of survivors will turn to their copies of Allies in Healing over and over again. From Faye Honey Knopp, Director, Safer Society Programme. But what about me? Is it possible to go one day without dealing with the survivor's issues? Will we ever make love again? Will the survivor love me in the end? How do I know if I should throw in the towel? Based on in-depth interviews and her workshops for partners across the country, Laura Davis offers practical advice and encouragement to all partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, spouses, and lovers, trying to support the survivors in their lives while tending to their own needs along the way. She shows couples how to deepen compassion, improve communication, and develop an understanding of healing as a shared activity, addressing partners' most important questions. Allies in Healing covers the basics, answers common questions about sexual abuse. Allies in Healing introduces key concepts of working and growing together. Mars time for action. Masculine. Did Tom my time no? My needs and feelings teaches partners to recognize, value, and express their own needs. Dealing with crisis includes strategies for handling suicidal feelings, regression and hopelessness. Intimacy and communication offers practical advice on dealing with distancing, control, trust, and fighting. Sex provides guidelines for coping with flashbacks, lack of desire, differences in sexual needs, and frustration. Family issues suggests a range of ideas for interacting with the survivor's family. Partners' stories explores the struggles, triumphs, and courage of 8 partners. Just putting off a sticky tag. Attempting to. Someone needs to come up with sticky tags that come off easy, that are really sticky. Laura Davis is a nationally recognised workshop leader and expert on healing from child sexual abuse. She is the co-author of The Courage to Heal, author of the Courage to Heal workbook, and her short stories have appeared in a variety of anthologies. She lives in Santa Cruz, California. To my partner, Karen Bristol. Contents, acknowledgements, introduction. Part 1, partners' questions. The basics. What is child sexual abuse? How is this going to affect me? Positive character traits for partners. Effects of abuse. How long does it take to heal? The healing process. Self-absorption. Support groups. Everyone has pain. Allies in Healing. Nothing is familiar. Why me? Coping with change. Why not just let go of it? Partners and denial. Survivors and denial. Partners have history too. Survivor-survivor relationships. Becoming allies. Best friends. My needs and feelings. Exploring my needs. Unrealistic expectations. What are boundaries? Caretaking. Identifying my needs. Feeling guilty. Feeling angry. Feeling good. Strong reactions. Sexual arousal. Taking breaks. My despair. Should I leave? Fit pages. It's definitely one. Dealing with crisis. Constant crisis. Being confused with the abuser. The survivor's rage and anger. The survivor's hopelessness. Regression and the inner child. Creating safety. Terror in the night. self-mutilation, yeah, you know what we're saying. Suicide, more about sexual abuse. I'm not smiling at suicide there, I was just smiling at our inability to say that word. And it probably makes it easier because we've been quite suicidal and we're navigating through all that in a way. More about sexual abuse, how memories surface, lack of memories. Why do abusers get away with it? Unanswered questions, forgiveness, feminism and abuse. You're just like all the other men. Cult abuse. Multiple personalities. Abuse by therapists. Intimacy and communication. What's normal? Safety and chaos. Distancing. Rigidity. Control. Trust. Keeping agreements. She never shuts up. He won't talk to me. Telling other people. She feels bad about herself whenever we fight. Fear of conflict. Learning to negotiate. Will she love me in the end? Sex. Why have things gotten worse? When will she be ready to work on sex? Celibacy. Sexual desire. Flashbacks. Responding to triggers. Sharing my frustrations. Bridging differences in sexual needs. Too much sex. Men as sexual monsters. Violent sexual fantasies. Is my wife a lesbian? Should I give up? Never give up if you really unconditionally love. But if you don't unconditionally love yourself, that's where one needs to start. Family issues. Liking the abuser. Losing my in-laws. I want to confront. More about confrontations. Abusers and denial. Being a mirror. Family visits. Are my kids at risk? Talking to our children. When a child is abused. Breaking the cycle of abuse. Learning to parent. Final thoughts. Realistic expectations. Part 2. Partners' stories. An introduction. Jack's story. Recovering together. Maurice's story. She works really hard, and so do I. Noah's story. Crisis and cult abuse. Eric's story. The support of others. Lorraine's story. Breaking up. Richard's story. A year at a time. Scott's story. Building trust over time. Virginia's story. Forging a commitment. Healing books and other resources. Index. Acknowledgements. For the last several years, I've had the opportunity and privilege to lead workshops for partners of survivors around the country. I am extremely grateful to the men and women who came to these workshops and shared their stories, frustrations, courage and pain. Give me tingles. Their hunger for information and their willingness to share formed the basis of this book. Thanks to the authors of the questions which make up so much of this book. I'd also like to thank my readers, Ellen Bass, Susan Breyer, Abe Davis, Susan Franco, Paula Inwood, Cecily Neprath, Jim Malone, Leilani Miller, Celine Marie Pascal, Amy Pine, Keith Rand, Janine Roth, Shauna Smith, and Stephanie Smith for excellent suggestions and feedback. My editor, Janet Goldstein, for clear thinking and inspiration. her assistant, Peter Nell van Arsdale, for encouragement and support. My literary agent, Charlotte Raymond, and lecturer agents, Denise Knotson and Jamie Carroll, for humour, good conversation, and helping get this work into the world. The producers of the Courage to Heal workshops, whose hard work and vision gave me the chance to develop and refine this material, along with the volunteers who put in countless hours. I'd like to thank Dino Sierp, Nona Gandelman and Lynn Golder, Libby Harmon and Joan Levin, Susan Stiles Wilson and the folks at Greenbrier Hospital, Darcy Spears, Dorothy Peterson, Maxine Stein and the folks at the Women's Resource Centre, Barbara Dabes, Sally Pillane, Tama Martin, Denise Wheeler, Cecilina Praff, Charlotte Watson, Sue Estler and the University of Maine, Linda Shirley, Jane Vogel, Louise Bouchard and the St. Louis Women's Self-Help Centre, Carol Mead and Lower CASA, Gail Stringer and King County Rape Relief, Catherine Ratt and Wisconsin CASA, Harriet Pickett, Havens Levitt and Women in Movement in New Mexico. The following partners and survivors: Tom and Fran Okerlund, Angela Gleason, Shelley Skye, Scott Chase and Jim Ferreira. My professional colleagues for encouragement, clarity and belief in this project: Lynn Bryant, Mimi Farrelly, Rani Fitzgerald, Hank Estrada, Susan Frankel, Ileana Gill, Paul Hansen, Tom Harrigan, Richard Jacobs, Paul Kimmel, Laurel King, Mike Liu, Wendy Maltz, Robin Moulds, Carla Plummer, Andrew Slavin, Douglas Sawin, Susan Schrader, Jim Struve and Louise Wisechild. For help with the bibliography: Shana Ross, Jamie Carroll, Barb Gore, Lynn Bryant, Susan Schrader and Monica Greta. For the title: Shauna Smith. Laura Hauff for another beautiful design. Personally, I'd like to thank the following friends and supporters: Cor Archer, George Brooks, Janet Breyer, Susan Breyer, Lauren Crux, Barbara Simrott, Natalie Devora, Carol Andwhite, Steve Eckert, Harriet Elkington, Sue Esler, Laura Gijes, Natalie Goldberg, Kay Hagen, Diane Hamer, Kate Hill, Leslie Ingram, Paula Johnson, Sharma Khalifia, Aurora Levins Morales, Gilly McBlaze, Jennifer Mayer, Patrick Mayer, Leilani Miller, Robin Moulds, Nona Olivia, Barbara Orestrom, Jonathan Panel, Celine Marie Pascal, Judy Phillips, Brian Rawls, Paula Ross, Gwynne Roth, Roberta Rutkin, Jan Simon, Jean Simonoff, Bert Simpson, Shauna Smith, Stephanie Smith, Matt Weinstein, Wendy Williams and Daphne Wu. My healers: Martha Benedict, Maya Clemis, Catherine Ledecker, Jessalyn McKee, Karen Salovitz and Dan Stickle, for easing my pain and helping me stay in my body. Ophelia Boldrama for taking care of Abe when I needed to write. Ellen Bass for great feedback and friendship and for making me dinner. Karen Zellin for pulling me through some rough places. Nonna Olivia for inspiration, humour, good times and friendship. Barbara, Daphne and Ruby for being part of my family. Karen Bristol for patience, persistence and love. Temi Davis for her courage, vitality and willingness to grow. Dear reader, I offer trainings for professional public lectures on healing from child sexual abuse and workshops for partners. If you're interested in bringing me to your area, please contact my agent, Denise Notzen, PO Box 6555, Albany, CA 94706. As a working writer, I regret that I am unable to answer individual letters, phone calls, or requests for referrals. Contact the organisations listed in the resource section for referrals. For reasons of confidentiality, I also cannot put you in contact with any of the people whose stories appear in partner stories. I do read my mail, however, and if you have feedback or responses to this book, I'd be happy to hear from you. If you want to be on my mailing list, send a note to the address below. In the spirit of healing, Laura Davis, PO Box 8503, Santa Cruz, California, 95061, 8503. This whole thing was new to me. I never knew much about incest. Mary, 46-year-old partner. It's moved from being an unrecognised problem to a vaguely recognised problem to a present, it's here all the time kind of situation. It's kind of grown into a monster. Eddie, 34-year-old partner. I've sat in bed and had these emotions churning, and I thought, I should know how to do this. There's this guy out there who's the perfect partner. If I could just get into his brain, I'd do this partner thing right. You know the guy I'm talking about. He's the one who says, it's okay, honey. If we don't have sex for 2 years, I can do that. I hated the guy. Jack, 36-year-old partner. Introduction. In the last 15 years, the sexual abuse of children has become an acknowledged social and political problem. Adults who were sexually abused as children have broken the silence, talked about their abuse, formed support groups, and courageously struggled to heal from the pain they've carried throughout their lives. There is a strong and powerful healing movement that offers resources, support, and advocacy to survivors of child sexual abuse. There's an asterisk there. Although survivors have made tremendous gains in the last 15 years, it's important to acknowledge that there is a long way to go. Many survivors are still extremely isolated, and resources remain poor in many ways. Most importantly, children are still being sexually abused in large numbers. In the midst of this growing movement, there is one group that has been consistently overlooked: partners of survivors. Partners are people involved in intimate relationships with survivors. Girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, and lovers. If you consider the statistics that an estimated 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 7 boys are sexually abused by the time they reach 18, and you think about the fact that most of these survivors grow up to form intimate relationships, it's clear your situation is not unique. Shiver me tingles. There are partners of survivors everywhere. Whether or not you were abused as a child yourself, the fact that you are involved in a relationship with a survivor means that you too are living with the effects of abuse. Survivors frequently have difficulties with trust, commitment, sex, and intimacy, and these problems have a direct impact on you and your relationship. This book will reassure you that it's possible to have a satisfying mutual relationship with a survivor. It will encourage you to take care of yourself, teach you to look to your own needs, and show you how to support the survivor in your life without selling yourself short. But you need more than words to support you. Books can be invaluable, but they don't give you someone to call in the middle of the night. Being the partner of a survivor can be lonely and frustrating at times, and you need people to support you when things get rough. I strongly encourage you to reach out by talking to a counsellor or a friend, or by starting a support group for partners. See pages 39 and 162 for more on reaching out. Where am I right now? Listed below are some of the common reasons you might pick up this book. Feel free to check off the ones that apply to you. It's turning out this is good arm exercise as well. Whew. I'm about to make a commitment in a relationship. My girlfriend was sexually abused as a child. Everything was going fine until we got closer. Then things fell apart. I'm trying to find out why. I've just broken up with a survivor. I want to understand what happened. My husband doesn't want to make love anymore. I think it might have something to do with the things his brother did to him. I just started dating someone who was sexually abused. I wonder what kind of effect it's going to have on us. My lover has just discovered that he's an incest survivor. I'm skeptical. I want him to get over it so things can get back to normal. All the focus is on her and her memories. What about my needs? My boyfriend started going to therapy and suggested I read this. My lover doesn't remember anything from her childhood and is starting to get these funny feelings that something bad happened. Since this came up, I feel like I've been a nightmare. Since this came up, I feel like I've been in a nightmare. When is it going to end? My girlfriend was raped by a couple of neighbourhood boys when she was growing up. She says it didn't affect her, but I think it did. My husband is a survivor and he doesn't tell me much about what he's going through. I thought this book might help us communicate. My wife and I are doing pretty well now. We just need help with sex. I feel like I'm the only person in the world dealing with a spouse who's suicidal. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking of leaving the relationship. This book is my last resort. My wife and I are both survivors. Things are nuts. We're like 2 3-year-olds half of the time. We need help. I'm not sure it's good for me to experience so much distance and deprivation. Should I stay or should I leave? I'm an alcoholic, and my lover was raped by her father. I am an alcoholic, and my lover was raped by her father. We're fighting all the time. I think it's her fault. She thinks it's mine. I'm a survivor. My partner is starting to have memories. I'm not sure I want to go through it again. I'm a survivor. And I want to see things from my partner's point of view. Shake it all out, shake it all out. I'm a survivor. I want to know what I'm going to face when I get in a relationship. I'm a counsellor, and I'm looking for a resource I can use. If you check off anything on the list, this book will have something to offer you. Keep reading. You'll find validation for your feelings, answers to many of your most pressing questions, and strategies for dealing with tough problems. You'll hear from dozens of other partners in your shoes. Their words will inspire you and reassure you that you're not alone. Whose problems are we dealing with? Many of the problems addressed in this book are not unique to couples where one or both are survivors. Most couples struggle with issues of control, intimacy, trust, and sexuality. You're not having these problems solely because you're with a survivor. Everyone comes to relationships with baggage from their past, and although yours might not have to do with sexual abuse, it is there nonetheless. Since the publication of The Courage to Heal in 1988, I've been travelling around the country, talking to survivors, training counsellors, and leading workshops for partners. At the beginning of each partners workshop, I ask everyone an introductory set of questions. How many of you came from a home with at least one alcoholic parent? From a home where there was physical abuse, emotional abuse, or neglect? How many of you lived with a mentally ill parent? Had a sibling who was sexually abused? Were sexually abused yourself? How many of you are drug addicts or alcoholics? Are in a 12-step recovery program? Are war veterans with your own post-traumatic stress to deal with? Even though I give people permission not to raise their hands, hands go up all over the room. There's a lot of laughter and camaraderie as people look around. Many people raise their hands, far more than one category. One man joked in the middle of this exercise, "Do I have to keep swinging my arm up and down? Can't I just keep my hand up for everything?" Oh, I got to love it. You got to laugh. And please, I mean that because that's one of our coping strategies. I pause after the last question and they say, "I have one more question to ask. How many people here came from a home they feel was basically healthy and happy?" Out of 100 partners, usually 10 raise their hands. And by my estimation, 5 are probably in denial. You may be picking up this book because you want to understand more about sexual abuse and the impact it is having on your relationship. You may want to learn how to minimize those effects. You may want help with specific problem areas. You will get your answers. This book is full of them. But you will also be asked to shift your focus from the survivor and the survivor's problems to yourself, your needs, your feelings, your history. The places you can grow. I was reading through some old workshop evaluations recently. At the bottom of his evaluation form, one man scrawled, "I made an observation today. The people who complained the most about the survivor's behaviour were people who took the attitude that it was all the survivor's problem. The partners who were making it through the crisis were the ones who were willing to stand up and say they had problems and growing to do too." I couldn't agree more. As you read through the responses and stories in this book, keep an open mind. The best way for you and the survivor to make it through this process is to view it as a mutual journey. About this book. At the start of every partners workshop, I ask each partner to write their most pressing questions on an index card. The questions are always poignant and cut straight to the heart of things. What percentage of survivors can be healed? And what is the average time period for healing? How can I stop being a nice guy and make sure my own needs get met? Will she love me in the end? How do I know when to throw in the towel? The first part of this book, Partners Questions, answers these and other questions drawn directly from the Partners workshops. As you read, You'll see that some of the answers are practical, offering suggestions, ideas, and strategies for coping with specific problems. Others are more philosophical. They ask you to examine your beliefs, values, and feelings. You'll also find a variety of exercises you and the survivor can do together. The questions are grouped by category: the basics, allies in healing, my needs and feelings, dealing with crisis, more about sexual abuse, intimacy and communication, sex, family issues, and final thoughts. Flip through the book and look for the headings that interest you. You can begin anywhere. There may be sections you want to share with the survivor, and other parts you want to think through on your own. You can use this book in the way that best suits your needs. It's important to note, however, that there are no definitive answers that hold true for every couple. Each survivor is at a different point in the healing process. Each partner has a unique history and set of needs. Where relationships are concerned, there are always more exceptions than rules. So, while I can talk about ideal solutions, real life rarely fits the ideal. There is no one formula for having a successful relationship with a survivor, but the responses in this book can help you find answers that work for you. The second part of this book, Partners' Stories, explores the struggles, triumphs, and courage of eight partners. Their stories are important because of their diversity and also because they give a human face. They give a human face to the concepts and ideas in this book. Throughout the book, you'll see quotes and stories from partners. These are drawn from the hundreds of partners I've met in workshops and from the 25 partners I've interviewed in depth for this book. The interviews provided me with a wealth of material. I couldn't tell each person's story in its entirety, but I've included portions of each. Most of the quotes you'll see are unidentified. Each one stands alone and represents one person's experience. Oh, we like this subtitle. About language. Throughout this book, the word partner will be used instead of wife, husband, spouse, or lover, except in the questions where I've left the original language intact. Partner is a more inclusive word. It fits for all kinds of couples, married couples, unmarried couples, gay and lesbian couples. The word survivor will be used to describe anyone who has survived child sexual abuse. I consciously use the word survivor instead of victim because it communicates a feeling of empowerment and possibility. I've varied my use of pronouns throughout the book, since both men and women are sexually abused. Both men and women are partners, and both men and women abuse children. Focus on yourself and the particulars of your situation, changing pronouns as needed. That way, the shift from he to she shouldn't leave you feeling left out. And I'm going to read this because this is part of our healing package for ourselves, because we've got a lot of rare labels and gifts and we've not been able to find anyone to support us, and we've had to let everyone go to do this journey. So if you've had the courage to join on this, welcome. and pat yourself on the back, be it a survivor or a partner, or if you come under both. It's teaching us to grow up our stunted younger generational consciousness, to develop our language skills, all kinds of things. And we've got a wealth full of knowledge over the years, because we're 41 next month, but this season we're a triple Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and South Node, and a Leo rising and a North Node Leo. Hence why the Leo moon and this season is hugely important, and we're in a very energetic period at the moment. So all of this is, well, being done. We're dancing with the energies for maximum output, most ease, effortless effort. Life's been way too hard for too long, and we want it to be fun and easy now, and want to learn how to play again. Because we've got DID, dissociative identity disorder, which is the new terminology of multiple personality disorder. Even though this book was written for partners, there is also a lot you can learn from it. It's full. If you are a survivor reading this book, I don't know if we read that. Even though this book was written for partners, there is also a lot you can learn from it. It's full of information about sexual abuse, strategies for coping with problem areas, guidelines for forming a healthier relationship, and exercises you can do with your partner. If you're in a relationship, you might want to read it together. If you're not ready to read it at all, or only want to read the sections your partner asks you to, that's fine too. Remember, however, that this book was written with the needs of partners in mind. It does not teach partners to be perfectly supportive of the survivors in their lives. Rather, it teaches them to look at themselves, pay attention to their own feelings, assert their own needs, and take care of themselves. This may or may not lead to you getting the kind of support you want or hope for. There may be times this book will be hard for you to read. It talks a lot about the difficulties of being involved with a survivor. You will hear from partners who are angry, sick of being supportive, and tired of hearing about sexual abuse. You will meet partners who have left their relationships or are thinking of leaving. You'll also read stories that are hopeful and inspiring. At times, you may find yourself despairing about the relationship you're in, or worrying that no one will ever love you. Part of the healing journey for anyone with anything is understanding yourself, your own needs, your own feelings, but also understanding the other. Not to blame, to do as best you can to get out of the victim mentality and the victim drama triangles. And to realize how beautiful you are, how you'll be okay, and how when you do finally navigate through it all, you'll see the gifts that it offers from those experiences, and how compassionate it can make you, and how you can truly experience and feel unconditional love, because you'll have started experiencing it by giving it to yourself. I don't know if one was to measure it or quantify it. I don't know where we're at on the scale. We're shifting between different personalities and ages all the time. Doing this keeps us grounded and focused. Otherwise, it just gets too much. But from the systems and people not understanding us, having our back or believing us, due to us not being able to communicate, because some of us were so long and they took over because they needed to come out, to be completely locked inside and lose 4 days, completely blacked out and memory gone, coming round to 8 people restraining you in a psych ward, still not able to talk, not knowing what the hell's going on. So we've got a mind full of experiences and knowledge, just not in the conventional way. So know you're not alone. know you have the strength in your heart, and you can do this too. And the more you unconditionally love yourself and accept every aspect of your being and stop judging yourself, accept yourself, things will come together. And if you have how the energies work, if you have been drawn to this, please explore all 3 of our channels. There's different sets of information on both. You'll get to see a lot more of the younger ones on the host body birth given name channel, Neve Debs Snowflake Coleman. It's at the bottom, it's above the title in blue, hashtagged. And then you'll see our Shinto self-empowerment, where there's a lot more to do with trying to become self-sufficient again. We used to be in accountancy and bookkeeping. We've started degrees. We haven't quite got qualified in heaps of things, but that's part of our purpose as well. We're very much experientialist. We've traveled the world. We've built, self-converted our own van and lived in it. We've done loads, and we've given a lot too. And it's time for us to give to ourselves. And we have created these channels to give to ourselves so that we can provide ourselves the healing package that we need. So it might not have a niche subject. It might be a bit scattered and all over the place. But that's because the chaos and all this stuff's been coming out for us, and we need to record it somewhere. We need to witness ourselves, and having a blind, deaf, dumb, and darkness inside, we can't witness ourselves. So this is how we're doing it. They started it, other alters, in the psych ward last year. It was the 5th of February to the 18th of February. They wanted us to take more medication. We told them it would flip us best we could, not with such coherence and clarity. But there was like 5 professionals, one of the care support workers, a family member and a friend, and all of them basically wanted us to take medication, even the friend and the family member, due to their own stuff that they need to become aware of in themselves. So we were smart and we figured out a way to take the medication, told them it would flip us, and told them that afterwards that it was safe for us with our Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and our autism. We really thought we were going to get locked inside. We were terrified. But we told them what it would do, that it would flip us somehow, and that afterwards we would refuse medication. It did flip us, and we did refuse medication. Finally, persuaded them to let us take in all our alternative complementary healing methods, tuning forks, essential oils, crystals, books, our yoga blocks. And yeah, we got ourselves out in 2 weeks. We were like the most sanest, most rational, self-accountable, self-healing person in there. And we were the only ones sectioned, and we were sectioned under Act 2. There's still emotion with it, but this drives us because we've always cared about others. And one of the reasons we've never actually finished our lives, and some of the alters have finished our lives, and there's been moments where we've had to spend hours resisting the body from taking pills and all kinds of crazy stuff, because we can't cause more pain to people that have already experienced family members killing themselves. So we've always had others at the forefront of our mind, and it's been exceptionally hard to put ourselves first. But we know that it's for the highest good of everyone concerned, us doing this. And that's what we've meditated on and had in the forefront of our mind since we got Reiki attuned to level 1, 2, 3 and our masters about 7 years ago now. And sometimes on this journey, people get hurt. You can't please everyone. You can't not hurt everyone. Part of being human is to suffer, but the main part of you being human is to transcend suffering. Because consciousness and each of these most amazing bioorganic computers that all us human beings live in, and consciousness is an expression of everything, be it inorganic, organic, bioorganic. And consciousness wants to evolve. But for consciousness to evolve, evolutionary in the human body, in the human mind, in the human heart, it needs to involve inwards and start by going inside first. And this is Hindu philosophy, Sanskrit philosophy, and it's called involution. And we love it because it sounds like it has the word involving, and it's involving everyone. And it's the Gandhi quantum ripple effect. Be the change you want to see in the world. And we got a lot of this from our yoga teacher training with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. You can teach a class for the average person, but you are excluding a lot of people. Why not teach a class that incorporates the people you're excluding? So you're teaching a class for someone with EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but you can include everyone. Not everyone will want to go to it, but the option's there if they want to. And there's all these values and beliefs that we hold where we've been told you can't do this and you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, no wonder we've got stuck to so many dead ends. But we will find solutions. We've got the teacher in us, we've got teacher background, there's so much. And yeah, this is what's unfolding at the moment, I suppose. No, we know, some of us know, but we have to keep saying it and keep iterating it until we completely reprogram ourselves. The power of the subconscious mind. And if you are someone that's experienced any type of trauma, or you know someone that has, and they're embarking on a meditation of the conventional form of stillness, then do your research and your knowledge first, because meditation can re-traumatize. And it's not a pleasant experience. But also know that the subconscious, our body, our heart, our right brain hemisphere, never gives us anything we can't handle. You'll also read stories that are hopeful and inspiring. At times, you might find yourself despairing about the relationship you're in, or worrying that no one will ever love you. That one's deep. But we know that when we love ourselves, it's all right. And we've had our beautiful cats. Zendaya's amazing. And Takoda, when we lived in the van, we'd go and walk along the cliffs together and everything. He was incredible. Oops, bye-bye cards. I'd like to encourage you to assume the attitude I ask survivors to take when they sit in on a partner's workshop. As much as you can, put aside your own needs, feelings, and desires. Think of yourself as an observer who is getting the chance to learn about things from a partner's perspective. See this as an opportunity to step out of yourself and see that partners hurt too. When you're healing from sexual abuse, it's easy to become self-absorbed, to forget that the abuse is affecting not just you, but also the people you love the most. Knowing that you're not the only one whose life has been turned upside down is a necessary step toward becoming real allies. See if you can use this book as a way to listen. Let it form the basis of a more honest dialogue with your partner. So we've touched, and next one, part one, partners' questions will be the next time this gets picked up. We've touched on some deep topics so far today. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a break and a hot drink. I got no idea what time it is. We'll probably have to make ourselves eat as well. But it'll be the 5-level attachments and then the prophet next, I think. And then we'll finish off another healing package. We've already got the journal for the Modern Witch Tarot. We've got the Modern Witch Tarot cards. We've got the Modern Witch Book of Tarot. And then we've got the Fountain Tarot Journal. So they will get done next, I think. Depends what happens though. Anything could happen. But I think we're getting a lot more co-collaborative and co-conscious. And the younger ones are mostly speaking out a bit more. And there's not so much push and pull between us all, causing chaos in this body, of which I'm very grateful to us all for. So if you've been brought to this as and whenever, whoever you are, the survivor, the partner, know that you can do it, but know that it starts from unconditionally loving yourself first. So much love and gratitude for having the courage to join us on this journey or to take your own journey. And welcome to the Shinto's yoga experience with Shinto self-empowerment. And I'm Zanoni Snowflake. Namaste. And if you're feeling a bit whatever, have a shake, a subtle shake, a vigorous shake, sound, let noise out, sing, put some music on, do something to shift the energies, because otherwise they'll stir and simmer. We all know what a pressure cooker's like if you don't take the if you don't let the pressure out. Much love.